In the bustling aisles of a small neighborhood supermarket in Miami, where the air hummed with the chatter of families and the beep of scanners, Juan Ramirez stood in line with his 5-year-old daughter Sofia, clutching a basket of essentials. It was a Friday evening, the kind where the weight of the week pressed down like an invisible hand, and Juan's mind raced through the mental arithmetic of his meager paycheck. As a single father since his wife's sudden passing 2 years ago from a relentless cancer, he had learned to stretch every dollar, choosing generic brands over name ones and skipping the little luxuries that once dotted their lives. Sofia tugged at his sleeve, her wide eyes fixed on a display of colorful candies just out of reach. "Poppy, can we get one, please?" she whispered, her voice a mix of hope and innocence that twisted Juan's heart. He smiled down at her, forcing brightness into his tired features. "Not today, mija. But soon, okay?" As they approached the checkout, Juan noticed the cashier, a young woman with kind eyes and a name tag reading Maria, her hands trembling slightly as she scanned the items ahead of them. It was subtle at first, a quiver in her fingers as she gripped a can of beans, but it grew more pronounced, making the barcode scanner wobble. Juan's curiosity piqued. He had seen enough hardship in his own life to recognize when someone else was carrying a burden. Maria's face was a canvas of quiet resilience, her dark hair pulled back in a neat ponytail, and her uniform crisp despite the long hours etched in the faint lines around her eyes. She couldn't have been more than 30, yet there was a weariness in her movements that spoke of stories untold. As Juan placed his items on the conveyor belt, rice, beans, a few apples for Sofia, and the cheapest milk he could find, he watched her closely. The trembling persisted, her hands shaking as if chilled by an unseen wind. The line behind him grew, but Juan couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. When it was his turn, he greeted her with a warm buenas tardes, hoping to ease whatever tension hung in the air. Maria smiled faintly, her voice steady as she rang up his groceries. But as she handed him the receipt, her fingers brushed his, and the tremor was unmistakable. Unable to ignore it any longer, Juan leaned in slightly, his voice low and gentle. "Disculpe, señora, but I couldn't help noticing. Why are your hands shaking like that? Are you okay?" The question hung between them, simple yet invasive, and for a moment, the supermarket noise faded into a distant hum. Maria paused, her eyes meeting his for the first time, a flicker of surprise crossing her features. She set down the next item, a loaf of bread, and took a deep breath as if deciding whether to open a door long kept shut. The customers behind Juan shifted impatiently, but he didn't budge, his concern genuine. Sofia, sensing the shift, clung tighter to his leg. Maria's response came softly at first, her words laced with a vulnerability that caught Juan off guard. "It's not what you think," she said, her accent carrying the melodic lilt of someone from Puerto Rico, much like Juan's own roots. "My hands shake because of a condition, essential tremor, they call it. It's been with me since I was a teenager. Doctors say it's harmless, but it makes everything harder. Holding a pen, typing, even scanning these groceries, it feels like my body is betraying me sometimes." Juan nodded, empathy swelling in his chest. He knew betrayal all too well, from the disease that stole his wife to the endless grind of providing for Sofia alone. But Maria wasn't finished. Her voice grew steadier, a quiet strength emerging. "But that's not the whole story. You see, I work here 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, not just for me, but for my little boy Mateo. He's 7 and he has autism. The therapies, the specialists, they cost more than I can ever make. My husband left us last year, said it was too much. So I pushed through the shaking, the exhaustion, because every dollar means another session for him, another chance for him to speak, to connect." Juan felt a lump form in his throat. Her words mirrored his own silent battles, the nights he lay awake worrying about Sofia's future without her mother. As Maria spoke, an unexpected turn unfolded. She glanced at Sofia, who was staring up with wide-eyed curiosity, and a soft smile broke through her fatigue. "Your daughter reminds me of Mateo when he was younger, so full of wonder. I see families like yours every day struggling just like me. That's why I do more than just scan items." She reached under the counter, pulling out a small flyer, her trembling hand steadying as she handed it to him. It was for a local community fund, one she had started herself, collecting donations from customers to help single parents with groceries and bills. "I've been putting aside tips organizing drives. Last month, we helped a family avoid eviction. It's not much, but it keeps me going. Juan stared at the flyer, his mind reeling. Here was a woman whose body fought her at every turn, whose life was a tapestry of loss and responsibility, yet she chose selflessness over surrender. The realization hit him like a wave. In his own grief, he had isolated himself, focusing only on survival, while Maria turned her pain into purpose. Speechless, he could only nod, the weight of her resilience leaving him humbled. The line behind him murmured, but the moment felt suspended, a profound connection forged in the mundane chaos of a checkout lane. The emotional climax built as Juan processed her words. His wallet felt heavier suddenly, not with money, he had little, but with possibility. He thought of the small inheritance from his wife's life insurance, tucked away for emergencies, and the way Sophia's laughter had dimmed since losing her mom. "Maria," he finally said, his voice cracking. I don't know what to say. I'm a single dad too, lost my wife to cancer. It's been hard, but hearing you, it makes me see I can do more." In a surge of compassion, he pulled out his card and wrote his number on the flyer. "Let me help. I work as a mechanic. I can fix things for free for the families in your fund. And here," he added, emptying his pocket of the last $20 he had for the week, placing it in the donation jar by the register. It wasn't much, but it was everything. Maria's eyes welled with tears, her trembling hands clasping his briefly. "You don't have to," she whispered, but the gratitude in her gaze said otherwise. Sophia, inspired by the exchange, tugged at Juan's shirt. "Papi, can I give my piggy bank to help Mateo?" The innocence of her offer broke the dam. Juan knelt down, hugging her tight as the supermarket around them blurred into a backdrop of humanity's quiet heroism. In that transformative act, Juan felt a shift within himself, a rekindling of hope he thought lost forever. Maria's story wasn't just about trembling hands. It was a testament to the power of enduring kindness amid adversity. As they left the store, Sophia skipping beside him with a free apple Maria had slipped into their bag, Juan glanced back. Maria waved, her smile brighter, the tremor in her hand now a symbol of unyielding strength rather than frailty. The encounter lingered in his mind that night as he tucked Sophia into bed, reading her a story about everyday heroes. Weeks later, Juan joined Maria's fund, volunteering his skills and sharing his own journey, inspiring others in their community. What began as a simple question evolved into a ripple of generosity, proving that in the face of life's tremors, acts of compassion could steady the soul. The heartwarming conclusion came full circle when, months down the line, Juan received a call from Maria. Mateo had made progress in therapy, thanks in part to the growing donations, and she invited them to a community gathering. There, amid laughter and shared meals, Juan realized the true power of humanity. It's not in grand gestures, but in the quiet moments where we see each other's struggles and choose to lift one another. Sophia and Mateo played together, their innocent bond a beacon of hope. Juan, no longer just surviving but thriving in purpose, whispered to himself, "Sometimes the shaking hands are the ones that hold the world together." The story of that evening spread through the neighborhood, a reminder that kindness begets kindness, selflessness inspires change, and in our shared vulnerabilities lies the strength to build a better tomorrow. For readers across the globe, especially those in Spanish-speaking communities where family and resilience are woven into the fabric of life, this tale echoes the universal truth. Even in darkness, a single act of empathy can illuminate the path forward, leaving us all a little more hopeful, a little more connected,